What's up, everyone? Welcome to the ArtsCorps Live Instagram Hip Hop Culture, live and direct from West Seattle. I'm your host today, Mr. James Miles, he, him pronouns. I'm the executive director of ArtsCorps. We're having some good times. We're going to talk about hip hop culture. Past several weeks, we've talked about emceeing, DJing, dancing. Today, we're going to talk about beatboxing. Oh yeah, I see Grady joined. He's gonna join me on this video. I'm super excited. So before I start, I got into hip hop music, if people don't know, as a very, very young man. I could say I'm as old as hip hop, even though I wasn't born in the 60s. I was born in the 70s, but still, I'm as old as hip hop when it came to be everywhere. And the first time I heard beatboxing was Dougie Fresh and La Di Da. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing with his mouth, but it's amazing, and I want to do more of it. And so I would practice in my living room, beatboxing, and I wasn't as good as Dougie Fresh, but I tried. And I want to hear from Jesus. Grady, can you join me? Where are you, my brother? Yes. While we're trying to figure that out, the best way to teach beatboxing, check this out, is using the term pizza kitchen. Everyone say it with me, pizza kitchen. I can't hear you, but I'm imagining you're doing it. Pizza kitchen.
Pizza kitchen.
Thank you, Alea. Pizza kitchen.
Pizza kitchen.
Great. Now, if you take the voice out, it becomes pizza kitchen, pizza kitchen, pizza kitchen, pizza kitchen. Put that into the chat box. Let me know you're trying this out at home. Pizza kitchen, pizza kitchen, pizza kitchen, pizza kitchen. Oh, Grady says they're not able to join, so this is going to be a sad thing. We'll try again. But anyway, pizza kitchen. I learned this technique at the New Victory Theater. Shout out to the New Vic and everyone doing that. Griot girls use boots and skirts. Boots and skirts, boots and skirts, boots and skirts. I like that. That's a good technique. Who was the TA that you just highlighted in an ATA that did a whole thing about beatboxing? He just worked at the New Vic. What was his name?
Oh my god, I don't know. I have to look.
You have to look it up? Okay. While she's looking that up, we're gonna bring in. Gritty is unable to join. All right. Well, we'll keep trying. So beatboxing started out because there was no other way to have drumming, right? When you come from poverty, as hip hop started in the Bronx, and Robert Moses put a highway through your living conditions, and you're economically disadvantaged. You don't have a drum machine. You don't have drums available. So use what you can. E40 had a song way back in the day when I froze.
Oh no.
We'll have to start this again. Let me get back into get into Wi-Fi. Yeah.
You mean the Life is Kind?
Life is kind? Maybe. Speak. Yes. All right. We're going to take this inside. There's some more Wi-Fi. Excuse me, followers, as we try to reconfigure this Wi-Fi thing and get some hip-hop going in here. Here we are. You can hear me fine. Thanks, Claire. Hey,
hello. Yo.
What happened? Sorry about that, man.
Oh, no worries.
We're just talking about the origins of hip hop and how we fit into that, and beatboxing, and how beatboxing came from, people trying to make music with their mouths.
Oh yeah.
How about you? How you learn about beatboxing?
Man, so I want to say, obviously, like beatbox. I don't remember beatboxing ever becoming a thing. It was always a thing when I was kind of growing up. A few influential people I remember was definitely like Biz Markie.
Oh yeah.
The Fat Boys. And I remember like Fresh Prince. He would always joke around and do a few beatboxing things on the show. I'm a huge Fresh Prince fan.
Yeah.
But I never heard the Pizza Kitchen. I always heard like Boots and Cats, like the.
Yeah. No, it's good.
But,
And so do you now you make beats as well as an MC.
yeah.
What are the origins of the beats that you make? How do you come about them? Chesney Snow, that was his name. He's who taught me how to do Pizza Kitchen. He's based in New York. Thank you, Halea.
I would say, yeah, I think beatboxing is a huge, it's huge in my process for actually like making beats. I don't like, I am not like trained, or I don't know how to play like the piano or the drums. I never learned an actual instrument. And so for me, like, when I make a beat, like I always try to make sure the drums are really tight, but my whole like mind on where the drums are coming from is always just from like the, you know, and I'm just trying to hear the melody and maybe try to fit it in there. But yeah, no, I think beatboxing is huge, and I've always been like the kind of guy, even when I wasn't like rapping, I can freestyle all right now. I'm okay at it, but beatboxing was always like the best way to get inside the cipher if you didn't know how to do anything. And I've always been a decent beatboxer, you know. So you grab the mic,
no doubt.
You know, just keep it rocking.
Yeah. Explain what a cipher is.
Well, a cipher. So a cipher is it's basically when you get inside there's like it could be a few rappers, it could be just two, but it's usually you get in a circle, like the formation, the classic cipher formation is a circle, much like a playground fight, and but it's all friendly. You go in there and someone has a beat, someone's beatboxing, sometimes it's a cappella, but you go in there and people are just freestyling, you know, getting some bars off, you know.
That's it. Yeah, first time I was in a cipher was in like the early to mid 90s, and you know who entered that cipher? It was the mid 90s when I was in New York, and someone entered the cipher, and it was this young man. We know him as Yassine Bey.
Oh,
and it was Mos Def.
Yeah.
I stopped rapping at that point. Okay, I'm good. And then I saw someone mention Rozelle, the godfather of noise. And I did a Pepsi commercial with him in about 2012. And he just and did the sounds you make when you drink a can of soda.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, who's that comedian who's really Michael Winslow from from Police Academy?
Right.
Man, yeah.
He was my hero, Police Academy. Making those sounds like
the tennis, all that, yeah.
All day, man. All day. So tell me something, man. You know, there's a lot of sadness going on in the world, right? We're seeing police murder people on a regular basis, especially black and brown folks, for no apparent reason, without any repercussions. I know the guy that killed the cat in Minneapolis,
Floyd.
Yeah, George Floyd, just got arrested today. What is the role of hip hop in terms of political action?
For me, I feel like we talked about this last time in our last discussion about hip hop and how hip hop is the voice of the inner city. And for me, I think if you have a platform, I think not that it's your right, but you have the privilege to speak on these things and make it a point, and no one's going to be able, like, this is how we get our voice out. And there's many ways we get our voice out, but this is one of the ways that we can hear it. And music is spiritual, and it's one of the ways that it can spark ideas, and I think it's important. I think me personally, with my music, I've never I have actually. I made a lot of music. I've been rapping for a long time, but recently I haven't touched on a lot of subjects, but these are subjects that are always on my mind. Police brutality in America, and the injustices that the Black community faces. It's sad to see. It's sad to say that it's nothing new. That's the saddest thing. And it's sad to say that, like, we're still out here fighting to get our voices heard and for it to spread awareness. You would think that everybody should know by now, and you would think that even everybody knowing about it would even do something about it. But it seems like people still know, and nothing's being done. And that's why you see these riots happening. That's why you see things happening. You know, when they tried, like I see many people say, they tried the peaceful protesting, didn't work. You know, and this is what happens. You know, and I agree, Samaya. It's all communities. I think this is not a political issue. This is a human rights issue. This is not left or right wing. This is about people's lives, you know. And this is, yeah, no, it's I definitely have been carrying around a heavy heart these past few days.
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me, you know, we're talking about hip hop and the culture. Looking at artists like, you know, what inspired me as a young man in '87 was NWA Straight Outta Compton and their song, you know, F the Police. That is still applicable today. Yet there's a lot of pushback from, I would say, not even mainstream society, because hip hop is mainstream society, but from, you know, conservative, maybe more prurient society about the language used in hip hop music, especially as relates to law enforcement. How do you feel about that, man? Or what's your take on that, I should say? Not how you feel, but like.
As far as the, my bad, can you rephrase the question?
Yeah. Just like, you know, NWA released the song F the Police in 1987, 88. That song is still applicable today because many things are still showing up. You know, police getting murdered, police murdering black and brown folks, black and brown folks getting targeted nonstop, us pushing back, and, you know, our president calling us thugs for saying, hey, we shouldn't be murdered. Why aren't people understanding this? What's the distance?
Yeah, no, like going back to like Samaya's point, like it's about black communities or all communities. This is, you know, we live in a society together, you know, and the thing is, I think they talk about this when you go back to World War II and they talk about how, oh, I wasn't worried about it when it was just happening to this community, and so eventually it bled into your community, and then, you know, it's too late at that point, you know. And I think me as being multicultural, but being white, you know, I think it's using my privilege as a white man to be able to my platform to be able to speak on these things. It's important because like I said, this is a human rights issue. This is unfortunately, black and brown folks are getting targeted, but it affects everybody. It's gonna go, like, if we can't sweep it under the rug. We can't act like it doesn't, you know. And I think that's the problem, is that when it's just the people who are being oppressed are the ones who are fighting for justice. They're the only ones fighting. There's no other help. Then it's just like a closed loop. You know, there's no, you know, how can the oppressed bring themselves out of oppression without seeing these uprises of riots and things like that. That's what happens. And, you know, and I'm with it, you know. I'm there for it. You know, this is what it is. This is how do you send a message, you know. And so that's just kind of how I feel on it.
Yeah. So what's the future hold for us, man? In terms of, you know, how do we beat the system? We're talking about beatboxing. So how do we beat the system at play using our voice and what we have at hand? I think it's important to one. I think I think you got to speak your mind. I think, and I don't want to silence any voices who are on the opposite end. I want them to speak their mind too, because I want conversations to happen. I want a dialogue to be happening. I want us to come to a middle ground. I don't want there to be separation, standing on one side of the fence, just talking amongst each other. We need to have, you know, there needs to be that clash, and there needs to be
voices being spoken. And the crazy thing about hip hop is that hip hop is even polarized itself. It's such a mainstream culture at this time that it is also something that is there's no conversation. There's slight conversation, but not as much as there should be. And like I just can't stress enough that this is not a politics thing. This is not Democrat, Republican. This is human rights. And if we're not having this conversation, it's and people who are trying to refrain from, like, I don't post on like my Instagram. I don't post on it much, but I'm making sure that I'm letting people know how I feel, where I stand in this thing, even if it's in the slightest way, because it's important for anybody who if I have some sort of influence on this platform, for them to know where I'm coming from, and if they want to talk to me, want to have a conversation about it, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, no doubt. A couple years ago, actually not a couple years ago, maybe 2018, that was a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to train the police department here in Seattle. Is with all of the sheriff department in King County. It's pretty interesting time. And we talked about some of these issues we're talking about. And saying like distrust with the law enforcement community and the Black community. And it was myself, a couple other educators, and a professor at UW, with maybe 7-10 leaders in the law enforcement community. And admittedly, when I walked into that room for the first time, I was scared, man. I didn't know what to expect. I've never been in a room with that many police officers when I wasn't in handcuffs. So it's like, what's happening here? And then to have this conversation and lead this activity on like empathy and understanding one another was so enriching. I didn't know what to make of it, man. Like, I didn't know whether it was good or bad. It was just something new I've never experienced before. But I agree. There needs to be more conversations like that, where people from different walks of life are coming together and talking about things. That's the only way progress will happen. And, I don't want to demonize the law enforcement community, especially as the executive director of an organization. But I do want to say there needs to be a shift in terms of what's happening. There needs to be a shift in the terms of how we are treated as human beings. So I will demonize them for that. Right now, we are being targeted, not by every police officer, but as a force, we are being targeted, and that's unfair, and that's not going to help us create a better society. So that's a related note. But back to beatboxing and hip hop. Who is a polarizing figure? You mentioned someone, like there's a lot of polarization in hip hop itself. Who's the most polarizing figure that you can think of in the hip hop world?
Off the top, I would say probably Kanye West.
Kanye West, yeah.
And just to give a few examples who aren't brushed up on Kanye's, Kanye, his a lot of his early career was talking about a lot of these struggles from Black communities and from just Chicago communities in general. And as time has gone on, we see pictures of him with Donald Trump. We see him not only just pictures with him, but see him almost outright supporting Donald Trump. I think there's a picture of him in a "Make America Great" hat. Yeah. And so that's why I would say he's polarizing. But as far as the I think it's important that we have someone like Kanye in here because of the history and I also admit to you I'm a big Kanye fan, and so right. And it's tough to be a Kanye fan these days. It's tough to be excited for a drop from somebody who you don't even I never met the man, never had a conversation with him, don't know how he really thinks, but from what I see, there's probably some things we don't really see eye to eye on, and so
for sure.
I think, but I'm curious as to what it is. I'm curious as to if, like, I don't want to say, I think it's too easy to be like, oh, he just switched up on us. He doesn't get, he's too far disconnected. He's too rich now, which could possibly be true. Um, but I feel like that's a cop out. I really want to know what he thinks. What led him to get to the mindset that he's at now? What is, you know, what goes through his mind? What helps him rationalize the decisions he makes?
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about. It's all about conversation, man. Really.
So it's all about conversation. Yeah. I mean, Kanye has a long storied history in the hip hop industry since the '90s. And you know, he's defining himself in his own way, and I think he makes missteps, as many artists do. I'm not defending Kanye, not at all, but he's an artist. An artist should go out on a limb and try something new, try something different, and they should fail. And I think he's failed. Now it's time for a new Kanye to come out of that, you know, like a phoenix from the ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I hear you.
sure. Yeah. Well, this is great, man. Do you want to do a song for us?
A song. Let me think. Give me just 1 second to think if I have anything that I've prepared.
Yeah, no doubt. For those while Jesus is thinking about a song to perform, we are jamming live on the Instagram at ArtsCorps, talking about hip hop culture, having a lot of fun, enjoying ourselves for this weekly chat. He's spinning in terms of I don't know what's happening to his Wi-Fi. But yeah, this is an ongoing conversation. These will be happening every Tuesday at 12 p.m., Fridays at 5:30 p.m. They'll be great. We'll try to get more and more guests on as we're waiting for Jesus to come back. So add to the chat any questions you may have, any thoughts you may have. I'm gonna go search for Jesus again. Have to keep going in and out from the Wi-Fi, or I don't know if it's his Wi-Fi or my Wi-Fi. But we had a great conversation, and we'll do more of these. So while you're thinking, what is beatbox to mean to you? What is hip hop culture to you? How have you seen it manifested in your lives? I have 2 young daughters. We listen to hip hop pretty much every single day, and have a great time doing it. And we talk about different things that happen. Like we analyze all the hip hop lyrics, all the lyrics from any songs that we play, to be honest. And it's the best thing I can do as a parent, especially as a parent of 2 young Black girls. So beatboxing has provided a way for us to communicate when we don't have the words to do so. And as Samaya says, comfort can become an enemy. Change changes people, and we should embrace change. We should embrace hip hop culture as it's shifted over time, and embrace that change within ourselves. Right? As we launch into a new year, school year, I should say, there's a change needs to come. As Sam Cooke said, a change is going to come. Here comes Gritty. He's coming back. What's up, man?
Yo, I was just looking through, see if I had something on the topic. I'm gonna see if I can remember. I wrote this verse when I was 19. This is my after my first semester in college. The song was called "Under the Rug." Let me see if I can remember the verse. This is one of my most personal verses, I would say.
Okay.
Let's go. Back, but I never felt so alive. New G, hot, yeah, no surprise. Trying to pull up in a ghost like a poltergeist. Better watch your back, they're leaving holes for eyes. 2 fingers on the trigger, said he told you twice. Looking at your shoes like those is nice. Looking at your jewels like those is nice. Trying to get some to be cold as ice. When you come in front of bottom, you're supposed to fight, right? We're supposed to lack rights. We're supposed to like rights. Man, that don't sound right. Get your mind right. Get your mind at the gutter. Trust the police, barely trust each other. How you learn to be a man when you got a single mother you would never understand? They would never see the struggle. Got to do what you can. Go ahead, go hustle. Put the blood on your hands. Try to label you as trouble. With a camera crew when the blood leaving puddles. That's all I can remember.
Salute. That's dope, man. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your artistry with us, man.
Yeah, man.
We really appreciate that.
Man, I love to spit for the people, man.
Yeah. So where did that come from? What you said that was a really personal song. How did that come about?
I remember just in my first year of college, just I was facing a lot of things that I had never really, like, a lot of questions that I was searching for answers for questions that I didn't know I needed to be asking. And I was, so background on my college experience. I got into college because I was on a full ride scholarship for Act 6, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is a great program who helps students get into college. It's for leaders. It's a leadership scholarship, and I worked really hard to get the scholarship. But what I had this struggle with myself, because part of the way I got the scholarship was kind of, I don't want to use the word exploiting, but I had to call on a lot of traumatic experiences, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to talk about growing up and with my family, and what it meant to what my identity was, and being raised by a single mom, and having being a first generation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not having my father, who's from Mexico, around really, and and you know and there's a lot that went into it, but I just had never really. I found myself in college, which is Gonzaga is a predominantly white institution. I found myself, though I'm white passing, and I still reap the benefits of being a white male in America. I really had felt othered at that time, and I really had felt like I felt more distant from who I thought I was, and more connected to who I truly might be, and I think and it kind of made me charged up in a way, like and the thing too, like we talked about before, like a lot of my music is about a lot of my music is usually it's fun. Like I like to have fun with the music. I've been making music since I was a child. I've been writing music as long as I can remember, and so at this age, I really like to make party music, not and stuff that people can dance to, and so that's why it was so personal to me, was blending the way that I like to make people move, because that's really what it is. It's not much about party music. It's really about making people move, and how can I make them move?
That's it.
With the words and with the sounds at the same time, and also let people know a little bit about myself, and so that's really what it is about, and so like the few things I even seen someone recorded a little bit in there, like we're supposed to lack rights, we're supposed to like riots. It's like these aren't things like we riot because we have to, not because we want to. No, it's so I think people lose sight of that. I think when people see, it's a tough image for people to see when it's like these riots happen and this looting happen, and people are like, oh, looting is so selfish, they're taking things for themselves. For me, I personally, I see it as taking back what's theirs. Not taking back what's theirs, but taking back something. They're losing. We're losing so much. Can we get something?
Right.
And so that's just kind of how I felt, and I will be participating. There's a protest happening tomorrow in Seattle. Hoping to keep the peace, but I will definitely be around, making sure that I'm supporting the cause in any way I can.
No doubt. Yeah, as Claire wrote, Angela Davis quote, she's about changing the things she cannot accept. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that a riot, it gives a voice to the unheard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening in the country. It's not violence. It's not meant to be violent. It's meant to say, like, look, pay attention to what's happening to us. Pay attention, because we deserve it. We need it. Our lives do matter. So thank you, man. Thank you for bringing that back home and bringing it back up, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate your conversation. Appreciate you being so vulnerable and telling us that story. you know, we're lucky to have you working with us. We're lucky to have you collaborating with us. Thanks again, Jesus, for joining on Instagram live chat. This is fun, man.
Appreciate it. I hope we get to do more of these in the future.
No doubt. Peace, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your weekend.